Greetings, Harbingers. Welcome to Yliaster, PewDiePie's favorite channel. It's windy outside, so I'm recording indoors today. I think I've never recorded indoors for the channel up to right now. Well, I don't remember. So, can you interpret this dream? I had this dream and I will talk about it here. And I will try to put some AI images if they happen to be accurate, because sometimes I type exactly what I saw in my dream there and it gives me something entirely different. So I'm still working on getting to know AIs to understand my crazy dreams. So this is a question for anyone who's watching this video. Can you interpret this dream? Without further ado, let's go to the video. I suffer a lot from sleep paralysis, lucid dreaming, and sometimes I have these dreams full of details. Looks like an RPG adventure, just like this one I'm about to tell you. So here it goes. I was in a tiny wooden room. It was a wooden house, but I was in this room. It was tiny, with wood like this, all colored wooden like this one. And there was I don't quite recall, a wardrobe, a computer, very simple. The objects, all the room was wooden, like in this color, and the objects were white, like white wardrobe, white computer. Suddenly, someone walked in through the door. She was wearing a white simple dress, and she started arguing something. Let's call her Meredith. Meredith started saying some things to me which I honestly don't remember. I stood there for a while listening to her, and suddenly the room's roof disappeared and it became, and I could see the sky. It was night. It was beautiful sky full of stars, bright. I think the moon was there too, but it was bright sky, bright night sky full of stars. And then the roof had disappeared, as I said, and in the edge of the roof's wall that sustained the roof that used to be there, it became like a chicken coop full of chicken nests contorting the wall, the top of the wall's edge. And there was chickens. They were brown. They were all brown chickens. And this person, Meredith, had turned herself into a chicken as well, but it was a white chicken, and the other chickens were how do you say it, brown or red? I'm not a chicken expert. And Meredith, who had become a white chicken, started fluttering her wings and make a mess in the chicken coop, and it started to raise dust up in the air. And the other chickens start to be stressed out because of her actions. And I remember I asked her, "Will you stop doing that? Look at the mess you're making here." All of a sudden, I just remember this. We were no longer in this tiny room with the with this open into the sky. We were just outside, and Meredith was her again, woman with white dress. We were outside. The room was no longer there. But it was kind of the same environment, because the sky remained the same. It was bright, and we were outside. There was this horizon behind us. It's a beautiful place, like an enchanted valley or something. And there was a mountain. In the end, it's like a big rock mountain. The rocks was kind of this color here, and the mountain had some trees, some greens growing throughout all of it. And there was also waterfalls coming out of the mountain, but the mountain wasn't fully green. There were parts that were just plain rock, and some parts there were trees and waterfalls. So I remember I looked at Meredith and I told her those exact words. "Do you see this mountain? This mountain is me, but it was all plain rock before we parted ways. And after we parted ways, you can see that there are trees sprouting out, and there are waterfalls. And the number of trees and waterfalls is growing. In other words, that mountain was transforming itself from a just mountain plain full of rock, made of just plain rock, and there was like trees and waterfalls sprouting out of it. So I said I was like that mountain. And then I remember we started walking towards the mountain. And at some point, my brother joined me and we were walking. And as we were getting closer to the mountain, it was like an extremely beautiful place. The grass was green. There was like these stone benches that we could like sit, and there was a pathway that was marked by the land. There wasn't grass in it that led toward the mountain. And I remember we walking toward the mountain. At some point we sat in one of those stone benches, and I remember seeing some kids playing around. The kids weren't older than 4 or 5-year-old. I think 4-year-old kids. They were all black kids, and they kind of seemed to belong to some African tribe. They used this red coverages that seem like a native indigenous, and they have these red paintings in their faces, and they had this thing that they used to hunt, a spear in their hands. So the kids like playing there. Then I remember we walked even further to get inside the mountain. And as we got closer to the mountain, to this particular mountain, there was an entrance door like this. It was all made of stone. And when we entered the mountain, it was astonishing. It was extremely beautiful. I remember entering the mountain, and on my right side there was another entrance, and I could see like this in a corner a stairway that led like up to somewhere. In the left side of the mountain there was also an entrance that has like a stairway, and I think that place was a gigantic labyrinth or a maze full of stairs that had access through all that mountain. It was like an inside construction, extremely well made. Kind of reminded me of the scenarios, the caves from The Witcher 3 and Skyrim. The three of us walked there, and in the main room that we were at, there was those things that have, I think in Catholic churches, looks like tridents, but lots of it made of gold. It was like ornament to, just ornament. And there was like here, 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 and here. And in the center of that place, I think there was like an altar. There was like a coffin made of ivory. It was plain white ivory, and it was open. And there, I don't remember seeing a lid. It was like a big white ivory coffin, I guess. And behind the coffin there was like a step, and there was this red banners by the wall of that altar. I remember we walked there, and Meredith went to the left part where there was this golden trident-like ornament, and she started crying a lot. Again, she kept saying things, but I don't remember a word she said in the entire dream. I just can't remember. She started crying a lot. All of a sudden, the kids who looked like indigenous from a tribe, they entered. I think a couple of them entered, and they started playing inside. I remember I told my brother, hey, tell them to play outside, to get out. We're discussing something important here. And Meredith was crying, and I remember my brother asking them to go out and all. And okay, Meredith kept crying. All of a sudden, one of those kids went in. But this kid was not like the others. Again, he was like, looked like 4-year-old Max. He had like stronger red paintings in his face. He had this like spear. He had like the vestment in his legs, the red vestment. I forgot the name of the thing, but very indigenous. And Meredith was on her knees crying at this moment. And I remember he went toward Meredith, and he just put both of his fingers in her nose like this, in her narines. And he kept like this. I wasn't understanding what was going on, but he was like performing some sort of ritual on her. I remained uneasy and I was worried because she wasn't breathing, because the kid was like with both of his fingers at her nose. And I remember I just grabbed the kid by his other arm and tossed him out. Like, get out! Toss him out of the entrance of the mountain. After that, something weird started to happen. Meredith kept crying on her knees, and all of the sudden, I think, at that part I'm not sure, but I think some blue smoke started coming out of her body. And okay, now I'm going back to the part that I remember. Just that smoke part I'm not quite sure about. After that, she changed, she transformed herself. She became a liquid, a transparent, thick liquid, and she splashed to the ground. Along with this liquid, she also turned herself into a white ivory cross. It wasn't a small cross, I think it had the size of my head. A whitened ivory cross. So she turned herself into this liquid, transparent, thick. She turned herself also in a white ivory cross about the size of my head. She also turned herself in a necklace, a very small necklace, with a small golden chain, and its seal that had like a tiny diamond that served as a lock. There was a cross in it as well, but the cross was in a horizontal, and it was a golden small cross with a black risk in the middle of both the vertical and the horizontal part of the cross. And there was something written in like handwrite. It was like in black, but it was all those curvy letters, and I don't remember what that was. And she also turned herself into a black katana sword. Yes. So after I witnessed that, I ran toward what she had become, and I was like in the ground touching that liquid and touching the white ivory cross, and I got the necklace. I put the necklace in myself. I started wearing the necklace, and I sensed that liquid, and I tasted something in my mouth, and it was extremely delicious and sweet, tasty liquid. Something I've never tasted in my life. It was like sweet, delicious. Then I hold the black katana, and I drew it a little, and it was full black katana, a brightish black, and to the very end of the razor's edge, there was this bright blue like ornament. So it was black, a full black katana. I drew it, and by the edge of the razor it was like bright blue. And she turned herself into these four things: the thick, transparent, sweet liquid, the ivory golden cross, the cross necklace, and the black katana. I was like crying, trying to understand what happened, because she literally died and turned into those things, So after that, I remember a lot of people started walking in toward the mountain. Some people I recognized from her family, and her mother also walked in, and she came toward me. And oh yeah, before people walked in, I asked my brother to start filming the whole place, because I didn't want people to know that I directly caused that to her. So I asked my brother to start filming the whole place, and then people start to walk in. And like I said, some people I recognized from her family, and specifically her mother came toward me. She was wearing all black, with like a black hat and some clothes that some white details in it, but it was all black. And then I was telling her, like crying and desperate, like it wasn't my fault. I didn't do that to her. She just transformed And her mother was like, yeah, we know, don't worry. She was like trying to calm me down, you know, like she knew it, and I was asking for forgiveness, and she said, no, it's okay, we understand, and all. Her father understands too. And people start walking in. The place was getting crowded. I was on my knees by her, what she had become, the liquid, the cross, the necklace, and the katana. And as I was starting to stand up, my next action would be to explain to those people what my brother and I had witnessed there. When my knees left the ground to stand up, I woke up. And that was the dream. So, what do you think? Leave it in the comments. I would love to hear an interpretation of it. Thank you so much. See you in the next video. El Psy Congolo.